There's no reason I never casted you as the best Jade in North America a year ago. That's not the case. All right, so as you said, our last matchup is going to be Weedem Boys against GateKeepers.
Yeah, Weedem Boys
big
versus
matchup
GateKeepers.
for both, right?
Yeah, this was a game last week that we saw go 5-4 in an incredibly intense match. My God, it was so fun to watch. I hope we get a repeat.
Yeah.
Last week, Lorio's Lucy looked insane against Jolts' Blossom. Of course, Jolts ended up making some adjustments at the end, played very defensively so he wouldn't get gooed, and it looked much better for GateKeepers going into the end. I'm interested to see whether or not the Rook is picked or GateKeepers go for the Bako here.
I'd imagine, and on the other side, I was actually going to speak the same thing, Rutha. Probably going to stick with Bako more so. It is his comfort pick. He knows this will be a tough matchup.
Right. There's
a chance he could maybe go into a Rook. But for his team composition, you know, I absolutely love watching Hot Biscuit. The only 1v3 we've ever seen in the history of time in competitive Battlerite was Hot Biscuit.
Hot Biscuit.
Hot Biscuit in Enter the Arena tournament. And one of the biggest tournaments prior to this one, we saw a 1v3 from Hot Biscuit. Dude's incredible.
Yeah, he swags on people. He's so good at his character. And Lorio, he's somebody that I'm no longer sleeping on either. Going into this event, I didn't know too much about Lorio, but watching his Lucy the past couple weeks, he's quickly becoming one of my favorite players to watch, as I've been spending a lot of time on Lucy lately, and the way Lorio plays, incredibly efficient and very calculated.
Lucy is another very interesting champion because everything she does is so impactful. You feel like you have a lot of these lulls where you're not doing anything, but you don't realize your M1s do a lot.
They do,
like as long as you're just kind of hitting people with your little toxic bolts, they really do a lot of sustained damage and just kind of keep things going, especially if you build into the Battlerite that will weaken heals and whatnot.
That's a big one.
But overall, like she has really high cooldowns, which again is why she's punishable, not a lot of mobility.
Right.
So you don't often like unconventionally feel like you're doing a lot because you're like, I just gotta wait another 6 seconds for this cooldown. But my God, are her abilities so impactful, and that's where you see Lucy's that wait for that perfect moment for the panic or for the barrier. And we're gonna see Jamong, and we're gonna see Rook from GateKeepers.
We got our answer.
Yeah.
They want to practice this Rook. They feel very confident about Rook moving into the future, so they're gonna pick him here. Weedem Boys going with the Jumong. This is what they ran against GateKeepers last week, and it looked good, and I think it's really good in this game already. Rook, we talked about his weaknesses. He doesn't handle the Rain of Arrows and Trap very well, so he only has that one iframe and one mobility spell, so if he ever gets caught out, Jumong might just ruin him.
Weedem Boys with the Freya, and we have Ashka for GateKeepers.
This is like the most anti-Rook comp ever.
Yeah.
Of course, Rook has that counter. Freya doesn't care. Thunderclap goes right over it and applies static, and then you can no longer trade with her because she does amplified damage. So Freya trades incredibly efficiently against Rook, and Jumong, that Rain of Arrows, does a lot too. The Lucy, also pretty good against Rook. His Clarity Potion removes not only his Frenzy, but his Eat debuff, something you don't often think about. That 16 residual heal that comes off the EXM1 can be cleansed, which is incredibly good for the blue team. However, GateKeepers are running the Pestilus. Oh God, Rook, Pestilus, Ashka. The amount of burst damage this comp can put out is going to be insane.
Yeah, and they're going to be looking for the combos, and even you mentioned it, if she also builds into the toxic bolts that reduce your heals, Rook's heal is going to be doing less overall, plus the cleanse as well.
Yes, sir.
So you really can put him in pain because his biggest, he finds a lot of success in the fact that he can do well alone because he has Eat, because he has counter, because he can move so far with his spacebar. But once you can just negate two of those, or at least just dampen them so they don't have as much value, Rook's going to be in a really tough spot where he needs that Pestilus to follow him. But Pestilus isn't going to want a space to follow him because that puts Pestilus in a worse spot.
Yeah, and
because Pestilus can't deal with anything.
On a similar note, the weakening on heal from Lucy's M1 is incredibly good against M1 healers just because all of their heal is slowly over time. So if you're reducing that 7 healing from the M1 of Pestilus by 20% each time, that adds up very quickly. And even that 30 burst heal coming out of Bloodsucker reduced by 20%, it does significantly less than it would otherwise. So just overall, that's an incredibly valuable battle, right? The only potential problem with it, Lucy does not want to position aggressively, especially against a Rook. If she ever finds herself too far forward trying to M1, she might just get bodied by the Rook charge.
This actually should be a pretty high intense game. High velocity, intense game. High intensity, much velocity game.
I'm really excited for this one. I want to see the freestyle combos from Jolts on the Pestilus and Hot Biscuit on the Ashka. I think it could be really fun to see, though it is something that is not easy to pull off.
Rutha going with Rook instead of Bako. I'm trying to just think of how, I mean, Bako and the Lucy is just always a lot of fun. But the other two, not great fun.
I talk often about how bad Rook is into Jumong, but if Rook catches Jumong without that 3-stack M1, so he can't Black Arrow twice, you can find yourself in a favorable situation, and getting burst damage onto the Jumong is also possible with the in cap. So good things can happen for Rutha here, but whether or not they will, we will see.
You just have to be so much more selective with your engages.
Absolutely.
Counter getting already pulled for Freya, and both iframes. What is she doing? This is just going to be punishment, potentially. Yeah,
Rook used everything, but a nice queen placement from Jolts right in front of him negated a lot of the incoming damage. Really worked out better than I thought it would for Rutha.
Rutha doing okay. Buse down to almost half health. Lucy nearly getting smacked by the Rutha space.
Nice panic flasks from Lorio, getting Hot Biscuit off of his allies, and now Rook, Rutha charging so far out of the battle.
Hot Biscuit. Booze has a full ultimate. Hot Biscuit wanted to avoid getting in-capped right now. Missing his space on the Jamon. Can he just make line of sight? Catch him with a boulder. Prowl's now down. Blue got the orb. The ultimate still sitting in the barrel for Booze.
Oh, God. Oh! Rutha has that M2 available. That looked tense for a moment. I thought Buse might be able to find the kill, but Rook going to survive through it.
A situation like that, you'd think maybe everyone would just come down on Rutha. He had almost nothing left.
This is still really good for We Dem Boys, though. Gatekeepers desperately need the orb, and they will get it.
Hot Biscuit ulting for the orb. Buse getting the in cap, but doesn't have the ult this time. Counter getting some. Oh no, Rook's in a really, really bad spot.
The
Clarity,
trap, too.
The Clarity to actually need to make contact. He's just stuck in there. The Infest will keep him alive, but not for much longer.
Everything committed there onto Rook to try to keep him alive. The firewall even from Hot Biscuit thrown literally on top of the Rook, but the Rain of Arrows AoE combined with the goo just outputs too much damage.
Low-key, disgusting iframe from Hot Biscuit in that to actually E into Blood Assassin's ultimate to iframe it while his teammate was dying, so it got a little overshadowed. They've got a chance here, but Hot Biscuit has no more energy. Rain of Arrows comes down, and they're just slowly getting melted. He's so separated from the support right now.
Look at the footsies there. Buse dodging all of the Scarabs from Jolts. No value out of that. Onto the Freya. Now things looking pretty good for the blue team, but Hot Biscuit, he actually steals that orb carpet.
Jolts will get a panic and a root onto Freya. Hot Biscuit's just going to slowly try and build up ultimate. Buse almost has his. Swinging the hammers.
Hot Biscuit, he wants that ulti. That's how they're going to come back into this round. He drops the firewall, so now he's even further from it, and the firewall is not available for orb. That allows We Dem Boys to steal it.
But he does have 75% energy. Oh no, the missed spacebar. Oh my God! The moment they saw that spacebar down for Petulant, they knew it was their time to shine. Hot Biscuit decides to join his friend in the poisonous fate.
I mean, sometimes you just get double ulted after infesting as Pestilus.
You know, sometimes.
That's one of the things you accept when you pick Pestilus into an enemy comp that has Jumong, Lucy, Freya. It's like sometimes everything's just going to get dumped on you.
I hope you like going out with a bang.
Yeah, the bang of the Freya Thunder Stomp there, finishing off that one. And We Dem Boys, similar to last week, taking the first round. Rutha's the punish onto Rutha was absolutely massive, and I love the coordination We Dem Boys played with.
3, 2, 1.
Long round, though. Could go either way. Hot Biscuit with a couple more ultimates. Boo's only having a spacebar left. He's going to eat through the barrier. Take a lot of damage trying to save. There it is, finally out of there, but he lost half his health in the meantime. Don't know if the trade was worth it. Counter won't get hit. Only has an E. He's going to use that as well. There's the panic. Barrier to save from Max. Blue team will secure the orb just as that Rook space showed up, trying to get body blocked.
Buse gets some greens too, very favorable for him, and he's sitting on an ulti. Rutha has to be a little bit careful when he engages. If he gets that lightning debuff on him and gets in-capped, he's in for a world of hurt.
There's going to be one ult. The Clarity back in. He's going to eat to try and negate as much of this as possible. Rutha takes almost max damage from it. He'll secure an orb to give him back some of that. There's going to be the damage onto Jolts. Poor Jolts.
Oh, the in-cap too. Luckily, the second bounce of the Queen Panic lands onto the Freya and gets her off of the Pestilus, but the damage onto Jolts was pretty significant from that. Lorio, he's almost at ultimate again too. We might see a repeat of last round where the bug dies in the goo.
Jolts has an ult. Hot Biscuit has an ult, and he loses the orb even through the ultimate. Almost no value, a little bit of damage onto Booze.
The barrier was perfectly timed from Lorio, so Buse took almost no damage, and the orb went to We Dem Boys. That's massive.
Buse has a spacebar out of there. He's trying to play a lot safer, and now knowing how low they have Jolts. Another ult onto Rook, and there he is caught in the middle.
The Scarabs are there, though, healing him up so much. Such a value ability, but We Dem Boys steal it again.
Another ult for Booze. Almost an ult for Blood Assassin. No, he's going to spam his EX abilities as we usually see. forcing the space out of Hot Biscuit, but they won't be able to punish. Freya wants to. You can see her looking for that opening to close the gap, but she just can't find it.
Firewall being dropped early on to try to secure the orb. The queen placement also there too, but Weedham boys, I don't know how they got that one, but they managed to take the 4th of the round.
Just barely sneaking that from underneath the meat stick from Rutha.
Oh, beautiful panic, breaking the counter of the Freya. Now she desperately has to disengage. There's no barrier available either, and this is a potential weak point for Weedham boys.
The haste space from Freya has been such a good disengage for Booz. There's the ult. He's actually not going to go for orb. He's going to go for Blood Assassin. The Pandit's going to keep Blood Assassin alive. No, he dies. Hot Biscuit finds himself inside of the Death Vortex.
Oh, Rutha, he might go down here. The shield was granted to the Freya, so she isn't taking sudden death damage, but now she's finally starting to get very low. Lorio not doing much better out there. But man, you talked about that ultimate from Hot Biscuit. He opted not to go for the orb. He conditioned his opponents. That's something that is incredibly important, is getting in your opponent's head and making them think you're going to do X, and then you do Y. Hot Biscuit had ulted 2 orbs prior that round, so when he charged up his ultimate for that last orb, Weedham boys were like, we don't need to burn any iframes. I don't need to burn Prowl on the Jumong because he's going to ult the orb. And then he just lets it rip, hits the Jumong, and from that point on, the round just falls apart for Weedham boys.
Tied up. It's going to be a long series. Buckle up. These two teams very, very close in skill level. Who's again in the back line. He takes so much health early on, but we don't seem to feel that pain. I don't know how he can get away with it. He almost takes half health every time he engages. Lorio this time having to panic just to keep Rook at bay. The lethal injection will find some damage, but it's not going to find any max health. Red team get that orb as well. Yeah. This opening for GateKeepers is pretty great. This
opening could not be any better as GateKeepers are sitting at max recoverable health. Now Rutha charging in, getting a decent amount of damage and forcing a Prowl, and the double rain of arrows was spent by the Jumong, getting almost no value. Oh, okay.
1 ult, 2. All 3 finding contact, but the barrier eating the strongest one. Good patience on Lorio.
Oh, the ultimate too. Hot Biscuit committing in so far. The Petrify going to slow his roll a little bit, but Lorio's in so much trouble, Carpet.
Blood Assassin trying to get rid of that queen.
Rutha.
No panic for him.
Rutha's playing so well.
Look at that in cap.
Oh, Rutha, gotta miss that one, I guess. Can't play flawlessly, but he played that initiation so well. He dodged the Freya counter and timed an M2 perfectly to land right after it, then finding an in-cap instantly after. Rutha's looking really good on this Rook, even though he seems to have only played Bako recently.
Yeah, and this is actually a trend we've seen in the BPL. Teams will trade early on in the series, but the team that tends to adapt a little bit better will always start to pull away right around now. Weedham boys might get one more round, and then GateKeepers have the rest. And it's a trend that we see, and it kind of shows where teams come in with equal skill level, but one team is just a little more adaptive and kind of can figure out their opponents a little bit quicker.
Yeah, it's really where a lot of the skill and practice comes in, really showing the experience of the group when they're able to adapt. We'll see if they can keep it up here, as the starter's looking pretty good for GateKeepers once again.
Rook breaking line of sight. Won't take a whole lot of max health damage. This time Booz leaves with way more health than he has in the last 2 rounds. Will help his team secure orb as well. Rutha screaming around the field. Incapacitate, followed by a boulder. There's the barrier. She's going to have counter up any second, and she's holding for it. Oh my god, he baited the counter out with his spacebar, and now Booz is in a tight spot. He might need to use his ult just for safety's sake.
Man, really beautiful play there from both Rutha and Jolts to be careful about that counter and get a ton of damage onto Freya. Buse gets some green, but the damage has been done, Carpet. She's only down to 90 max recoverable HP, and she's going to need to get max value out of her ulti, as is Lorio if they want to bring this round back.
We do have 2 ultimates for Weedham boys. So if Rook ever finds himself in a bad spot, which right now is about it, there's one. No, he's going to M2 out of that, which means now we might see the goo. No, Lorio is just too far. Hot Biscuit might want for the blind ultimate.
Yeah, the counter was burned, as was the barrier for Buse. He's going to use the counter again. Not getting any value, very unfortunate. And now GateKeepers, they're just posting up mid. They have a massive advantage.
There's that Petrify. Hot Biscuit posturing up for an ultimate. No, he's going to retreat instead. He needs the heals. He didn't want to risk it. They don't get that orb. There's the goo as well. Pushed back into it.
The panic from Jolts negates that Dragon Slayer, and the ultimate from Rook negates the damage from the goo. Huge series of events for GateKeepers, but they actually did take quite a bit from that goo still. However, there's not nearly as much energy on the side of Weedham boys.
Hot Biscuit thinking about ulting on the other side of the wall. Trying to break line of sight so they don't know it's coming. There it comes. He uses it to secure orb, lands 2. Gets both Lucy and Freya. Freya nearly dies to just some extra stuff flying her way.
Oh, the Freya ultimate is going to land onto Rutha as well, but not too much damage coming out now. Buse, he's only sitting on 48 energy. Ooh, yikes.
And the mid control is just letting Gatekeepers get these mid orbs, get these green shards, and just keep the health spread in their favor.
No barrier, no counter. Buse is now in a lot of trouble. He gets pushed out. He has to jump over, but Buse, he's still going to end up dying.
He gets spacebarred as well. Jamong stuck in the Death Vortex. Nothing can iframe the Death Vortex.
Nope.
Gatekeepers now 3-1.
The only thing that can negate that damage is a barrier or a shield. And you talked about at the beginning of the round how it seemed like Buse was taking a lot of damage. The power of the Rook really coming in handy here is that armor break just makes Buse have to play so carefully, and if he makes one misstep early on, the Rook can just get so much damage out in such a small window.
On top of that, Rutha, knowing that he's not going to have a great time in a 1v1 against Booz, is always working well with Jolts. That panic always coming into play when he realizes he's getting a little out-rotated, or they're just getting the burst damage the moment that they see Freya doesn't have her counter up.
Rutha playing this round much differently, going straight onto Bloods. He doesn't quite have energy for that eat, though, and that boulder doesn't land. He's now going to have to play a little bit safe. He finally gets that energy, which means he's going to go in. We'll see him try to rotate to this backline. A sick double in cap, and it's looking like Red's going to get the orb off of that.
Yeah, he almost broke the in cap too early before they secured that orb. The panic, oh my god, the push into the panic from Booz. Booz is trying to find punishment. Petrify onto Rook will give them a little bit of time. The Queen will protect him from the M2 and the stun. Rutha nearly having enough for an ultimate. We'll see if he goes for burst damage or if he just wants to go for the eat and sustain.
Bloods has been given no space this room, and that trend is going to continue as the ultimate comes out from Rook. Hot Biscuit is posting up, trying to find some damage on Deloria, but eats a Petrify for it. But not too much damage is going to come from this. All of these Petrifies, so much energy being used and getting no value.
Jolts is going to take a lot of damage from that Rain of Errors. They actually bursted him down about 100 health. Hot Biscuit nearly having an ultimate.
He might die here, actually. He's going to. Jolt's getting so aggressive, overplaying his hand and getting killed. The ultimate from Hot Biscuit's going to try to turn the tide and bring this round back, but this is looking so...
Oh, my God! The boulder!
The boulder coming out and the second ultimate from Hot Biscuit hitting Buse. This is definitely not out of the realm of possibility for the Gatekeepers.
I mean, Gatekeepers have a 10% health margin right now, 41%, now 25% after getting hit by all that range. Rutha, they baited out the counter from Booz, so they know they can do whatever they want.
Oh,
Lucy's going to have to be so careful right now. Ulting for the orb, I like it. Giving Lorio the support from a distance, who almost has an ultimate, so Rook needs to be super careful. He's got no iframe, he's got no more space bar, but Lorio can't get it off in time. Hot Biscuit comes to help his teammate out.
Man, even when they're given the opportunity to 2v3, Gatekeepers still manage to bring it back, and it's looking like they're going to take this round. Lucy versus the Rook down bottom. Such a rough matchup for Lorio, and you could really see it. Rutha just seemed like he did whatever he wanted down there.
This is going to be a well-fought effort from Freya, but she's not going to be able to come out of that one. Just when I thought we boys finally had the opening to try and turn this around, it does not matter. Gatekeepers have the strength for the 2v3.
Yeah, an absolute great job from Gatekeepers. Hot Biscuit recognizing the situation he was in, casting that first ultimate and finding significant damage, immediately picking up Jolt's energy and casting another one, finding a kill. Really great play, and it allowed them to secure that orb too. That first orb in the 2v3 was incredibly important as it brought Rook back into the energy range he needs to be to play aggressively.
Gatekeepers 1 round away from taking this in the final match of this group stage.
Oh man, pretty good start here for Rutha. He gets enough energy to eat, but he's not going to eat just yet, opting to instead hold energy for the smack, but he just kind of gets manhandled because of it. Now out of the fight, Jolts has to reconnect with them, but this is looking really good for Weedem Boys.
Oh, Booz did a great job of in-capping Rutha so we could just put pressure on a Jolts all alone, but Red Team will secure orb number 1. Looking mighty healthy on Weedem Boys though.
Oof.
Rook not in a great spot. Now you'll see he's getting punished from Freya that he has to deal with her all alone. When he has Jolts to help him out, to help her on the rotation and cooldowns, he'll do okay. Oh, baited out the counter.
Oh my
Rook.
god.
Rutha not in a great spot, but what happened to Freya?
Yeah, Freya just ate a big scarab and so much damage out of nowhere, and that's the power of Pestilus. Sometimes you'll just eat a huge burst of damage, and we see it reflected in Buse HP pool.
Uh-oh, there's the space from Pestilus. Booz has an ult, so does Lorio, but he stays so far away. He gets the damage on a Jolt's down to half health now. L'Oreal's waiting for a good opportunity to use that. Oh my god, the push! That was so sick, but GateKeepers still secure with an ultimate from Ashka. That clarity potion to keep Rook just out of range of that orb was so cool.
Yeah, absolutely incredible, and it also negated any value that Hot Biscuit would potentially get from his ultimate. And Hot Biscuit, he's almost back up to ultimate, though. The power of his Battlerite build, man, that inspiration, bringing him back real quick. This next orb is so incredibly important. The pushback is there, but GateKeepers predicted it. However, Weedem Boys still managed to snag it.
Bloodsass didn't have a Jolt, staying far enough back where he doesn't have enough pressure to they want to bait out that spacebar so bad. They got the kill on Jolt last time. The moment they caught him in a bad spot. There it is, other side of the wall. They're going to try and take out Jamon. Oh my god.
Huge ultimate there, or huge damage coming out from Rutha. I don't even think the ultimate from Hot Biscuit landed, but now he's posting up against L'Oreo, just 1v1ing, M1ing all day as an Ashka. That's a situation you love to find yourself in.
L'Oreo does have an ultimate, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to help save out her Freya friend. It will not be. L'Oreo is going to go down, and GateKeepers in a 5-1 game will put themselves in a better spot moving forward from the final week of group stage.
Yeah, and you know what that means? That means we got a tiebreaker for first. That means we're going to see GateKeepers versus Impact today coming up in a little bit.
Yeah, I'm in.
That is a match to look out for.
We're going to have a tiebreaker in both groups, I believe, right?
Yes, we're going to have a tiebreaker between Dolos and E-United up top for second place. And then in Group B, we have a tiebreaker for first between GateKeepers and Impact.
And we will be broadcasting those today, so folks, please do not go anywhere. We've had 6 matches. We'll have 2 more. We will be going on a break between them, but we're gonna wrap up our analysis of that match. I mean, GateKeepers had full control that entire time.
Yeah, they looked very good. The punishes were on point. Rutha, he didn't find himself in a situation where he overcommitted all that often. It's funny, the player that overcommitted most often was Jolts on the Pestilus, sometimes spacing in, playing very aggressively, but very measured play coming out from GateKeepers that allows them to take that game, and that's what we've come to expect from them. They've always been very measured, very calculated, and it reflects in their gameplay.
And just watching the difference that Jolts has when he plays people, or between Blossom and Pestilus, that his playstyle can change drastically. Like it is a complete flip from a very aggressive Blossom that puts herself kind of almost at that front line, but it's just always helping her team push up, helping with the trees, helping with her stuns and her M1s to charge M1s. Pestilus, much different. He's staying just in range so he can get the M1s and M2s from a distance, placing queens just when he needs them to stop people from getting stunned from those big Jamong M2s and stuff like that. Watching a dude within like an hour play such drastically different play styles than 2 different champions is very impressive.
Yeah, it's so cool, right? And people often forget that Jolts used to be an Esmo main. Jolts used to play Esmo. He played Shifu for a small stint on his team.
He was a Rook main for a while, too.
Yeah, he was also a Rook main. So he's been all over the board. This guy plays literally everything, which also just speaks volumes about his skill.
Yeah, so that is going to be the end of group stage for Europe.